Jesus Christ was born on Christmas Day, and man will live forevermore because of Christmas Day. Long time ago in Bethlehem, so the Holy Bible said, Mary's boy child, Jesus Christ, was born on Christmas Day. Hark now hear the angels sing, a king was born today, and man will live forevermore because of Christmas Day. Mary's boy child, Jesus Christ, was born on Christmas Day. Our shepherds watch, they flock up by night. They see a bright new shining star. They hear a choir sing. Guess what? I already did an intro on my phone because my laptop was giving me problems. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing this, so I had to restart it. I got through about 5 minutes on my phone, pre-recorded. And then my phone memory was just like, no, girl, you need an SD card. So I'm doing this again, okay? Welcome back to Surviving Tween-dom. For anybody who's new, catching this on the replay, please remember to subscribe. Welcome, like, comment, and share. For those who have already subscribed, I get amazing feedback from a lot of you. And for those who always give me really good feedback, especially on the Monday Money Matters or the Money Matters segments, remember to share with your friends. This is information that is also useful to people who don't have teenagers or teenagers or kids, period. This is universal, right? So once again, remember to click the subscribe button. I'm not feeling like my regular self today. I actually went out of town with a client on Sunday. And it was about a 3-hour drive, one way, 3-hour drive back. And anybody who knows me knows I get the worst motion sickness. Motion sickness is something that I have been dealing with since I was a kid. And I remember when we used to travel cross-border or take trips as a kid, my mom would have to put the C-bands on my wrist and she'd have to give me Gravol and all these things. And sometimes it still didn't even help. I'd be sitting in the back seat with my head between my legs. And she would tell me, don't worry, by the time you're 8, you'll grow out of it. Well, I have not grown out of it. It actually seemed like on Sunday, it got worse. My face was literally green. I couldn't even drive anymore. One of the other ladies I was driving with actually had to drive my car for me. And that made it 10 times worse because you cannot anticipate every turn. You can't anticipate every stop. You can't just, it was just crazy. So I say this to say, 2 days later, I'm still not feeling like myself. I feel like my entire equilibrium is just off and unbalanced. And so this is crazy that I'm still feeling like this 2 days later. And I Googled, and apparently severe motion sickness can last for several days. So I'm just taking it one day at a time. The daytime seems to be way worse when I'm up, moving around, going to meetings, driving. At night, it's a little bit better, but I've been off literally Monday and today. I had to postpone 2 jobs because it has been just that bad. So I'm going to try my best to do my best in this video. Last week was week 1 of the debt segment for Money Matters. This is week 4. And in week 1, I'm just going to do a quick overview. The link is above to last week's video if you missed it and you want to catch it. I talked about generally how people get into debt. And I'm going to keep this very simple. Financial literacy is something that everybody's at different levels of comprehension. I'm new to this myself, and I've taken a huge interest in learning about finances. I'm actually taking a course through McGill University currently. And my goal is to keep the language simple so that anybody can get it, right? I don't want to speak all high level and it's going over anyone's head. I'm going to keep it very simple. So you'll notice that I look down a lot. I made notes and I'm trying to stick to notes because I am a rambler. And if I don't make notes, I'm going to go off on a completely different tangent. So last week's overview, like I said, I discussed generally how people get into debt. So again, I posted the link a couple of seconds ago. Watch the video first and then move on to this video. That is my recommendation. Okay. So this week I want to talk about how to get out of debt. Last week we talked about how people generally get into debt. This week I want to talk about how to get out of debt. So the number one thing really is don't try to look rich if you're not. It's so simple. Don't try to look rich if you're not. Who's guilty of it? That's a rhetorical question, of course. And I think social media doesn't really help with that because you see a lot of people on social media living a life that they're not really living in real life, right? And a lot of people get caught up in it. You may be one of those people. And if you are, and you're serious about getting out of debt, you're serious about having a better relationship with money, you're serious about managing your money better, then the number one thing is don't try to look rich if you're not. Live within or just below your means. You need to be spending less than you're making. And I mentioned last week in this economy, it is a little bit difficult, but there's things that you can put in place to ensure that you're able to do so. So the number one thing, it's going to be a lifestyle change. If you're one of those people that it's important for you to have name brand clothes and to drive a car that is out of your price range when you're not making the amount of money to pay the payments, right? If you're the type of person that wants to flaunt, floss, stunt on people, it's going to be harder for you because that's a whole mental adjustment that needs to be made. But if you're serious about getting out of debt and you're serious about taking control of your money, then it's possible because you have to realize that nobody cares. Nobody cares. People will look at your clothes and they'll look at your shoes and they'll look at your Fendi bag for 2 seconds and then they will say, "Oh my God, I love your bag. I love your hair. Where'd you get your hair done? Where'd you get your shoes?" And then it's over with. It's done. You think they care? They have their own shit. They have their own stuff to deal with, right? So who are you really doing it for? It is nice to have nice things and it is even nicer to look nice, but you can look nice on a budget. It's how you put yourself together, right? There are certain things that you can do to accessorize what you're wearing if your clothes are good quality. Hanes makes good shirts for $10, right? You don't need a $60 or $70 t-shirt. You can get a $10 or $15 Hanes t-shirt. You pair it with a decent pair of jeans, Jordache from Walmart. Again, that's $15 on clearance. How do I know? Because I do it myself. Okay. I don't really care about name brands like that. But I'll guarantee you that when I step out of my house, I still look good. I don't have to spend hundreds of dollars to look good because that's not what it's about. And also, if you are confident in yourself, then name brands and labels aren't something that you're going to need to validate yourself. See what I mean? By it's a whole mental adjustment. So the number one thing of getting out of debt, like I said, is don't try to look or act rich if you're not. It's simple. So that ties into the next thing, being accountable. So I'm not going to repeat what I just said, but being accountable also means knowing what your current financial situation is and facing the facts, knowing how much debt you have, what your bills are, what your responsibilities are, how much money you make, how much money you have saved, if at all, and making the proper adjustments. If there are no savings, you need to start establishing a savings account. You need to start establishing some sort of rainy day. If you're behind on your bills, then you need to start making steps to start paying up on them instead of partially paying them, because you shouldn't partially be paying your bills and be wearing $200 or $300 shoes, right? So that also ties into facing the facts. Why am I in this mess? How did I get into this mess? And how am I going to get myself out of this mess? You need to create a plan. And if you start doing this and halfway through you think, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I like name brands too much. I like going to Raptors games. I like going to the club. I like flossing. I like stunting. I like being on social media and everybody knowing that I drive an Audi or a Mercedes or whatever. Then you're going to continue to snowball in the pool of debt. And in a couple of years, you won't be able to floss on social media because guess what? You won't have an internet. You won't have any internet access because you won't be able to afford to pay your internet. You won't be able to do it on your phone because you won't be able to afford your phone bill. And there will be no car to lean up against unless you're leaning up against some stranger's car in a parking lot because you won't have a car anymore. So what I'm saying is you have to face the facts. If you're going to continue to spend, and as time goes on, you're only going to get addicted to spending and spend more and more and more. And as the cost of living continues to get higher and wages are not being compensated accordingly, right? You're going to end up in more debt. And you're going to end up at a loss instead of a gain. So other than facing the facts, the other thing is you need to stop making excuses. If you're serious about wanting to have more money, be more secure, live more comfortable, be financially free, secure a future for your kids and establish some sort of good money habits with your kids, then you need to stop making excuses and you need to make the budgeting a family thing. If you are living with a spouse or you're married, this is something that you guys have to do together. It's not something that you can do on your own and just think that, oh, okay, well, my husband has or my wife has their own thing going on. Because that's the number one fail in relationships. It's money. It's a conversation that needs to be had and everybody needs to be on the same page. And then once you guys have established your financial plan for the family and your budget for the family, then you incorporate the kids and bring them in it because everybody needs to be on the same page. And it's good to start teaching kids financial literacy at a very early age. And if you didn't, it's never too late because this is something that I'm still starting to teach my kids now too. I've taught them things along the way, but as I am continuing to learn, I'm also teaching them in a kind of interactive, more fun and age appropriate manner because mathematics, numbers, they're not fun. You talk about money now, kids are interested because they know that money can buy things. So you have to be able to speak it in their language. And in terms of facing the facts, the important thing is you do have to look at everything and keep track. I mentioned in my last segments that the idea of budgeting was a horror for me. I liked the ability to be able to take a several $100s to the mall or to Winners or Marshalls and just spend without looking at the price tags. I like being able to take my kids to Canada's Wonderland or, again, the mall, or plan a birthday party and have a bottomless budget because that made me feel good. But that also, eventually down the road, when I needed emergency funds, they weren't there. They weren't there because I wasn't establishing an emergency fund because I was just blowing my money, right? And that's not smart. I never wanted to be tied to a budget because I didn't want to feel restricted. I don't like the feeling of, or I should say, not that I don't, I didn't like the feeling of being restricted. Now, I actually, and it's so strange, honestly, in the past month to 6 weeks, I actually enjoy managing my money better. I enjoy looking at my statements. I enjoy seeing how much money I've saved. I enjoy learning about this stuff. And I am not a numbers girl by any stretch of the imagination. I am an English major Math was never my strong suit. It was very complicated for me. But I have to tell you, when you exercise your brain and you open another part of your brain to learn and receive new things, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So like I said, like budgeting, and I sound really corny right now, but it's the truth. Budgeting has become so fun. And I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I can promise you when you get things in order, or you at least start to get things in order, it becomes addictive. It really does. It becomes like a numbers game, and it becomes a good type of a challenge. And when you see that you actually have saved in other areas to pay down in certain areas and free up money in other areas, it is such a good feeling. It's such a confidence boost. It's an esteem boost. You walk different, you strut different. You can leverage better because you have more money and you're more knowledgeable about money. It's just a whole different ballgame. Okay. So I promise you, if you can get on track with your money, get on a budget, it is like the best feeling in the world. I'm not lying. So with keeping on track and keeping on track with all of your spending, what's going out and what's coming in, you have to be consistent with it. You can't decide that you're going to make this budget, try to stick to it for maybe, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks, and think that all your problems are going to go away. That's not how it works. It's kind of like when you sign up for the gym in January because that's part of your New Year's resolutions, and you're going to the gym 3 days a week for an hour, and you're signing up for all these classes, but you step on the scale and don't see the numbers change. Not noticing that your clothes are starting to fit a little better, not noticing that your energy is slightly better, not noticing that you're sleeping slightly better, but you're looking for the numbers on the scale to change. That's not going to happen in 2 weeks. Just like in 2 weeks, your whole financial situation is not going to turn around. If it took you 10 years to get into the big mess that you're in today with your money, it's going to take you anywhere from maybe 24, 30 months or more, depending on how dedicated you are to get out of it. But the point is, you have to start at some point. You have to start today. Not doing anything about it is not going to change the situation, right? So some ideas, obviously, about getting out of debt, like I said, I'm going to keep it simple because I want to do things that everybody can do. Anybody. So I'm not going to talk about investments and things like that yet because I'm still learning a lot about investments. I'll save that for once I get through the course that I'm taking. I'll save that more for the spring when I do another 6 to 8 week segment on money. But I'm going to give you some simple ideas on how to pay down your debts. And the number one way, obviously, is to get a second job. So you may say, I can't get a second job. I'm a single parent. I've got kids, or I already work long hours, or what have you. And that is totally understandable. But this is where the excuses part comes into play, right? If you have time to spend the money, then you need to find the time to replenish the money, or you need to stop spending so much money. So a second job does not necessarily have to be after you finish your full-time job. Now you got to go find a job at a cash loan place or as a cashier or at a library or something like that where you're making minimum wage and it's not really helping. You can do that too, but there's other things you can do. There's Uber. At least that allows you to go on the road at your own time. That's if you have a car. Some cities offer a car for you to drive if you actually don't own your own car, so that you're still able to do Uber Eats, Uber, Lyft, rideshare, or any other program like that. There's Instacart, which is another form of, you do need a car for Instacart also, but what it is you are actually picking up online orders for groceries for customers and clients, and you're delivering it to them. And again, that's also on your own hours. These are driving ones. I'm going to get these out of the way first. This one pays a little bit more. You can make, I think, up to between $400 to $800 in a weekend being a designated driver, depending on how many hours you have to put in. So they'll partner you up with another individual, or you can find another friend, and basically you're going to go to bars and you're going to drive someone who's inebriated home, and the other person you're partnered with will drive their car. So this ensures that this person is not getting behind the wheel drunk. And this is something that you'll do whether you want to do it for 4 to 8 hours, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But like I said, there's the ability the potential to make a few to several $100s on a weekend. Other things you can do, depending on your skill set, depending on your background in terms of your education and your employment, there's dog sitting, cat sitting. You could do childcare. If you can do hair, you can do hair. So hairdressing from home. If you can cut hair, you can do barbering from home. Dog walking, landscaping. So there's people who look to have their lawn mowed in the summer, snow shoveling. I'm throwing ideas. These ideas should kind of get your head spinning. Now, if you're going to be a person to say, you know what, there's no way in hell I'm watching someone's kids. I can't do hair. I don't have a car. I'm not shoveling nobody's driveway. Well, then, you know what? How do you plan on getting out of debt? These are just ideas. If you're not willing to do those sorts of things, which are better because you can work around your own schedule, especially if you're a parent with kids, then you need to start pounding the pavement and find yourself a part-time job. I think from a business perspective and a time management perspective, it makes more sense to work on your own schedule, because time is money also. If you know how to fix cars, that's something else you can do. If you know how to do contract work, that's something else you can do on the side. You have to figure out what works for you and find the resources, find the money to help you pay down on your debt. The other thing you can do that's a little bit more long-term is start a low-cost startup business. And this is my forte. This is what I help people do. So again, in every video segment, I put my email in the description. If you want to contact me, and you're a subscriber, because I'm going to confirm it, I will offer you 30 minutes of free business planning advice. Okay. And if you are far, this is something that I can do via video, like a video meeting. We can set it up through Zoom. I'm more of a face-to-face person anyways. But like I said, there are ways to start your own startup that are low cost that can generate more revenue. So excuses, there shouldn't be any if you're really looking to get out of debt. I'm actually going to share let me just Google because I want to get the right name of it. I was watching it earlier and it was one of the more simplest explained ways of paying down your debts. And I'm actually going to put the link in the video at the end. And I liked it because it was so simple and it wasn't long. It's a 5-minute and 37-second video. Oh, my back is killing me. It's called How to Get Out of Debt Super Fast. And this lady is life insurance. I don't want to use the wrong word. I can't remember if she's a broker and advisor. Anyway, she introduces herself in the beginning, but she talks about the snowball way, I think that's what it's called, of paying down your debt. And the way she did it was genius. And it's simple and I love it. And it works because it's the way that I've done it. And actually, like I said, she explains it so much easier and in 5 minutes. So I am going to put the link up and I want you to watch the video if you're very serious about paying down your debts. And I think I mentioned already, the most important thing is you have to start today. You have to start today. Every little adjustment you make to your finances is going to help you in the future. Every little adjustment. So I hope you guys are just really paying attention to some of the pointers that I've been giving. There's ways that you can also find money, but I think I'm going to talk about that in a future segment. So that will be week 5. And week 5, I want to talk about savings. So next Monday, when you tune in, the topic is going to be savings. So week 1 was just a general overall topic or discussion about relationship with money. Week 2 was about budgeting. Week 3 was the first segment of debt. This is now week 4, the second segment of debt. And next week, like I said, will be about saving. So the number one way to get out of debt, like I said, I listed a few. I'm going to post a link to the video about how to pay down your debt. And to stay out of debt is consistency, proper planning, transparency, keeping track. Don't live like you're rich if you're not. Staying within or just below your means. So again, you can't spend more money than you're making or more money than you're bringing in. No more excuses, right? And once you fix your financial situation, or you're on the path to fixing your financial situation, you have to stay on that path. You have to be consistent. You cannot now go back to living the way you were before, because in no time, you will find yourself back to where you were before. I'm also going to add 2 more things. You can't borrow from Peter to pay Paul. That concept never works. So, I mean, people do get consolidation. If it's something that you have to do right away, or you have to get a loan right away to get out of an emergency situation. And when I say emergency as in you're facing losing your home, you may be facing losing your car that gets you to your job day to day. Those are emergency situations where you may need to get a quick loan or consolidate. That's fine, but you have to be extremely sure that you can pay off your loans and within a reasonable time frame, because remember that loans carry interest rates and they're usually high interest rates. Okay. The second thing is you don't want to get in the habit of borrowing money, because when you borrow it, whether it's from a friend, the bank, a lender, you got to pay it back. You still have to pay it back. And if you owe money, pay it back. Don't be one of those people that borrow money from the bank or lenders or friends or family and you don't pay it back. Do not burn your bridges business-wise, professionally, or with your friends. Don't ever do that. And the second thing I'm going to say is don't lend money. If you don't have it, don't lend it. When you get in the habit of lending money, and this is something that I used to do all the time, I would lend $20 here one day, 2 days later, $50, a day later, $10, 2 days later, another $20. But what I didn't realize is all of that adds up. And then again, when I'm trying to pull from my emergency fund, there's nothing there because I've lent it all out. And maybe 40% of those people I get that money back from. And then where does that leave me? If you're constantly having to bail out the same people, you're enabling them. And then it puts you in a sticky position, right? So the best way to stay out of debt, don't borrow and don't lend. If you're in a place to give money and help someone, then give it. That's different. But if you don't have it and you're really not in a place to be lending money out, do not be in the habit of doing that. Everybody has to be accountable for their own financial situation. With that, I'm going to close off. Again, as you know, I try to keep my videos around the 30-minute mark. We're right at 29 minutes, just a little bit over. I don't want to go over. So again, please remember to subscribe if you're catching this on the replay or if you're new. And please remember to like and share and comment. And I will see you guys on Thursday for my regular Thursday rant. This one is going to be good. I'm not even gonna give any spoilers about what it's about. And then next Monday, like I said, we're going to be talking about savings. I hope you guys have an amazing day or night, rather. It's almost 11 o'clock. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. For those of you who are still Christmas shopping, don't go broke over the holidays trying to impress people. I can't say this enough. And save some of that money and help someone in need. Remember to stretch your hands throughout the community, because there are people out there less fortunate who really don't have it. Have an amazing night, guys. Bye.